What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Guys You Already Know Inside the X's and O's. And if you are new to this channel is all about breaking down different scenarios from coaches, getting a perspective on what it's like to be a head coach, what it's like to be an assistant coach at a high level. This is a podcast just for you to educate you about different things that is going on in the game. And we are so excited because we have yet another powerhouse guest coach. And before we get to that, make sure you guys are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Make sure you are following us on all social media platforms, guys, so you can stay up to date to what's going on. Okay, we are excited. As I said, we have a guest coach. We are super excited to interview him. So let's go and introduce him. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and share any knowledge. I'm always, always an advocate of sharing the game and giving out as much, expertise as possible.
Coach, we're so excited to have you on. I want to start off with this. Right, you was a former assistant at Louisville under Rick Pitino. Give us some insight on what that was like being under him.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you this first and foremost. Obviously, you saw St. John's. There's no denying he's one of the best coaches to ever do it. I mean, his attention to detail, his level of intensity on what he knows wins, and what he knows is going to be successful is at an extremely high level. One thing that I always just I just was in shock and awe about. I mean, he's a guy that gets on the floor with the guys. He works them out. He develops their game. So you're going there and you're learning from one of the best in the game. So my experience was exceptional. I learned a lot about the game. I learned a lot about work ethic. I learned a lot about the things that you need to, as a high school coach, you think we were a top 10 program in the country. We had a lot, a couple NBA draft picks, a bunch of, top 25 guys, whatever. But you think you're working really hard and you think you know a bunch about the game. And when I made that jump to that level, I mean, you find out you don't know a whole lot, and you find out there's a whole lot to learn. The game at every level is a little bit different, So I learned a lot about the game. I learned a lot about work ethic, and I learned a lot about what I needed to do to invest in myself to become a better coach.
Now, going into in game, a lot of times assistant coaches have different responsibilities when we're in game, whether you're looking at offense or you're tracking down stats. Or what are some of your responsibilities in game? Coach, what's a responsibility that you have, maybe that fans don't really are not aware of? What's kind of some of your responsibilities as an assistant coach?
As an assistant coach, you wear so many hats. You're from the academics, assisting guys and understanding and building good academic habits, to being on the floor, to being an emotional support guy, to watching film, to player development, you wear so many hats. I mean, coaching the game of basketball is so much more than just coaching the game of basketball. You are a mentor, you are a confidant, you are someone that being a college basketball player is hard, right? It is a job and there is pressure, just like there is on us as coaches, but we have a little bit more life experience. It's really hard on the player. So being everything to the player is really important, because we're not just building good basketball players. Our goal is to also build really good young men.
Coach, now going into in game, a lot of times assistant coaches have different responsibilities when we're in game, whether you're looking at offense or you're tracking down stats or you're giving your players defensive assignments or you're substituting. What are some of your responsibilities in game?
Yeah, so this season, I had a small role in substituting, and just kind of being cognizant of who's been out and how long they've been out, and what is their plus minus when they're in and out of the game. And I had a hand in running our zone defense and our zone press. So just kind of knowing where we're at from a point per possession standpoint, how effective is the zone compared to man, and understanding whether, hey, look, the zone is just getting torched today, so that just might not be what we need to do. Whereas, the zone's been pretty effective. Maybe we run it a little bit more. Maybe we pick up into our zone press, and maybe we speed them up a little bit. So I was a little bit more in charge of that, and tracking that point per possession, and on top of just giving input on subbing from here to there. At the end of the day, the head coach puts you in and out of the game. My job is just to provide some feedback.
At times we talk about hard conversations, and some of the hard conversations are when a player comes to you and asks for more minutes. Hey, coach, I really want to have more minutes. Coach, when you come and you hear that conversation, or somebody comes and talks to you, what earns a player more minutes?
Yeah, I think the game has become very analytical. And a lot of the times we are so fixated, not we, but players are so fixated on their individual stats. And hey, but I'm playing well. Me, Coach Jordan, I'm playing great inside the game. What I tell any player, how do you earn more minutes? We track something called leverage, right? How are we offensively with you on the floor? How are we defensively with you on the floor? How are we overall with you on the floor? We track this in practice. We track this inside of the games, right? So I think the easiest way to get more minutes is to make sure we're better both offensively and defensively with you on the floor, right? Again, your individual stats are great, and we want to develop great individual players. That's a goal for us. If you look at our individual players and the years some of them had, they had, the best years of their career, some of them analytically. And you can do both. You can be a really good individual player, but also help your team win by doing things that may not show up on a stat sheet. So, we really encourage our guys that we are very open, and we are very communicative with our guys. We show them where they're at with their leverage. We show them the areas of opportunity they have to help us win, right? Winning helps everybody. And you got to make sure that you're contributing to that. So we do a lot with that, a lot with leverage.
For the home side, Missouri State led by 16 points at one stage. And we hit the break with the Bears leading by 3. Rebound, though, has to get it up, and
a lot of times one of the important things a lot of people say is film. Film is very important.
Oh, yeah.
Coach, when you're talking to these players, what do you want them to notice when they're watching film? Is there like a list of things you guys jot down? Like, how can these players get better with this film? What are some of those areas you're like, okay, this is what I want you to keep an eye out for when you're watching this film?
I'll give you 3 things that we really dialed in on as a team. We really dialed in on. We were one of the best defensive rebounding teams in the country, so we dialed a lot in on just box out effort. We were the number 6 offensive rebounding team in the country. We were number 1 in our league, so we installed a system called tagging up. We didn't make it up, but we adopted it from some Euro teams and some teams that currently in college basketball. So we tracked the tag up effort. What was your effort to tag up? And then we would just show guys their individual defensive effort, right? The effort in which, when you're at this level, right? Everybody's a good player, right? Everybody's a good athlete. So you have to hunt those little margins, right, to win games. Winning is unbelievably hard at the Division I level. So we try to focus on showing our guys, like, is this what your capable effort? Like, is this your best effort? Or is this just an acceptable effort? Like, hey, it's not bad effort. Like, you weren't dogging it here, but is it what you're actually capable of? And if you're capable of more than what we're watching on this film, we got to get what you're capable of out of you, right? And again, film is very helpful in helping guys realize and understand what they're actually capable of.
Coach, I want to switch gears real quick. I want to go over this play.
For the home side, Missouri State led by 16 points at one stage. And we hit the break with the Bears leading by 3. Rebound, though, has to get it up, and the game is over. Arkansas State pulls out the win. Missouri State loses for the first time this season, and the Red Wolves win 2 of their first 3 on the road for the first time in school history.
Coach, you guys were down 13 at halftime. You end up winning by 1. Coach, I want to know about that halftime. What was that halftime talk? What did that halftime look like? And what adjustments did you and the coaching staff talk about talking to the team that needed to happen in order to pull off this win?
You know, it's funny that you picked that game to go through. It was actually my scout. I'll say if you looked at the halftime scores, 46-33. Right, we finished the year playing or being the 6th fastest team in the country. We play with extreme pace, right? We play with extreme force offensively. We call it advantage offense. So in the first half of that game, we just played extremely slow, right? We didn't push the pace. We didn't play at a tempo that we're used to playing at. So that was something, a lot of good examples of how we need, opportunities that we had to push that pace. Number 2, locking in on defensive assignments. They came out in the first half and they were extremely hot from the field, so not short closing out on 3-point shooters. Missouri State, credit to them. They shot the ball well in the first half against us. And then we had to make adjustments on just our short closeouts and obviously our pace of play. And like I mentioned earlier, offensive rebounding was a big thing for us. Our tag-up system really helped us win a lot of games. When we didn't shoot the ball well, getting those additional opportunities really kind of saved us a little bit in games. We did not shoot it great from 3 this year, but our offensive rebounding system really put us in position to win games. So, doing a better job of tagging up, doing a better job of pushing the pace and eliminate the short closeouts on 3-point shooting. I think they finished the game shooting around 29% from 3 after a really good start to the first half.
Coach, when you're not shooting well, right, and you're shooting at 3 and some of your best players are shooting and they're not knocking down shots, how do you stay positive and say, just keep shooting? A lot of times it's a mental game, and sometimes when you're missing shots, you get out of the game quickly because it's like, I can't make this shot. So how do you as a coach that, and how do you let them know, hey, keep shooting, just keep shooting, it's going to fall eventually?
I believe that starts inside of practice. The one thing that Coach Pannone just does, and not the one thing, does many things, but one thing he does a great job of is instilling confidence and joy into our guys. This is a fun game that we play, right? So playing this game with joy and having fun playing it, but also just being confident, right? It's an automatic sub if you pass up an open shot, right? Here in Arkansas, we shoot open shots. We want to shoot in the first 6 seconds of a shot clock if we can get a good shot, right? So he does a great job of breathing that confidence, because our style of play, as fast as it is, right, as free as it is, if you're not confident, you can't play in it, right? So we do an unbelievably intentional job of instilling that confidence on our guys. Shoot the ball. If you don't want to shoot it, come on over here. Hang out with me. I'll get you a nice little lemonade cup with a umbrella in it, and we can hang out. But we're going to shoot open shots, and it doesn't matter if you miss 5 in a row. Analytically speaking, number 6 and 7 are going to go in. So let's just keep shooting that basketball.
Ohio by 3. 26, 6, and 3. No fouls. No fouls tonight. Damon. Shama.
A lot of fans may realize that you do a lot of practices, but also they don't realize that also with practices come individual workouts, right? You're working out individual guys, making sure that they're up to par and doing a good job with whatever it is that you're trying to do. Coach, when we get to these workouts, first off, when are these workouts? And secondly, are you working out these players obviously to get better? But is it more so, hey, I need you to fit this system?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Coach Pannone and myself also, we kind of got our start in coaching in player development, right? You know, we did a lot of preparing him more so than me, but we did a lot of preparing guys for the NBA draft and then working with different NBA players. So that's kind of where we cut our teeth and kind of got our start and kind of built from there. So we put a heavy emphasis on player development. Every practice includes player development, right? And then, you know, obviously we have different player development workouts as a group and as a staff, right? We'll break our guys up into groups and in our allotted time that we can work them out. And we put heavy emphasis on developing their game. And I would say it's a healthy mix, right? We scaffold it. It's a healthy mix of the things that you need to get better at. Like, you just need to improve on this. And this is translatable to a game. Translatable items that you just as a player, you know, whether it's your handle, whether it's confrontational drives to the rim, whether it's, you know, pick and roll reads, whether it's, you know, small sided games, right? With managers and GAs. We kind of layer and scaffold our player development so that our guys are kind of getting exposure to, one, individually improving in areas that they're weak. Two, being able to apply those learned skills inside of a live scenario. And then obviously we'll scaffold in some of the game situations predicated on the offense that we run and scenarios that they might run into. So it's kind of a build up. You know, we love to make sure that our guys are always getting better. If you're getting better individually, the team is getting better. So we try to be as intentional as possible in it, as investing in their personal game, right, in the areas that they need to improve, but making sure that it's translatable to the game in situation and scenarios that they might run into while playing inside of our offensive system.
Coach, what's a skill we could say that maybe freshmen lack when they're first coming in versus a senior who's like, oh, I've been there, I've done that, I've grown? What's kind of some of those skills that you see freshmen kind of do versus a senior?
One is decision making, right? Understanding the pace and speed of the game, understanding, you know, the different ball screen coverages and when to hit the C pass or when to hit the short roll or when the opposite corner defender steps in the paint, being able to come off it and spray into the corner. When you drive a single gap, making that early easy pass, you know, just decision making, when to come off the ball. That's probably number one. Number two is, you know, just the defensive understanding of the different concepts of defending, right? You know, knowing when to you know, what an impact on the ball screen is, how to top lock, right? How to make, you know, stay attached to guys on down screens or wide pin downs. So just understanding that, you know, holding the low, you know, when the ball is on the opposite side of the floor, right? You know, helping from the two side and not single side tagging. Things of that nature are really, you know, just new. It's new. I mean, again, there's a lot of great high school coaches out there, but again, the game changes as you go up, you know, different level athletes and talent. So just understanding the different concepts and nuances and the way that college that they're now playing at wants to defend.
Switch gears one more time. I want to look at this play, and I want you kind of to break this down.
Ohio by 3. 26, 6, and 3. No fouls. No fouls tonight. Damon. Shama steps back and scores.
Coach, obviously this is a set play and you guys are down 3. It's a great set play for your shooter. Coach, walk me through this. You guys call this set. Walk me through this set.
So first of all, you're going to love this. This is going to blow your mind. So we don't actually, I mean, we'll have situational ATOs and set plays, but the truth is our offense is a lot of randomness. We run more of a flow concept, NBA style offense. So a lot of, you know, there's a couple, I'll walk you through it, but most of our stuff is just random. And it makes it really hard to scout us because we try to teach our guys how to play the game without just giving them, you know, set, hey, go screen here and go do this. I mean, that works for some people and a lot of individuals have great success doing that, but it's just not what we do. So if in that play, Christian Harmon was being top locked on the single screen. So the 5-man that came to set a single for our shooter. They top locked, which caused him to, force him under the screen. There was a random ball screen by our 5-man, but Christian Harmon knew on the top lock to go and set a wide pin down on the opposite side to create that shooting angle for the opposite side shooter. So I would just call that a single into a random pick and roll with a wide pin down, right? A lot of our things are random. We try to give them, single, double, wide, chase. We kind of try to put it into, singular words and keep it simple for them. But in that situation, they were top locking, random pick and roll. Biz did a great job of setting a wide pin down to create an advantage for a wide open 3-point shot.
Coach, how many plays do you guys have?
Yeah, I don't, again, set plays, we don't have a whole lot of just set, we're going to run this set play. Ours is more flow, concepts, and actions. I mean, putting a number on that would be hard for me. It's more just, reading the game. Like I said about our skill development in our workouts is read based. We put guys in scenarios, teach them different actions. How to split the post, how to, set singles, how to set wides, double pin downs, how to slip, how to ghost. We're playing more out of flow concepts. So putting a set number on that would be difficult for me, to be honest.
Season is over. It's finished. What's next? What is on the calendar? What's happening? What's next?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, in the new world of college basketball, it's absolutely year-round because you're going to have a new roster, right? With the transfer portal being open, obviously you have to, sit and meet with your guys, and you've got to put a heavy importance on taking care of your guys at home base first. Then you turn to preparation for the transfer portal, and making sure that you've identified kind of the areas that your team needs to improve and the areas that you need to address. But we've started off-season workouts with our guys, and we'll start meeting and discussing kind of what our areas of improvement to help our team be better for next year are.
If you could tell a player right now who's looking to play at the Division I level, he's in high school, what would you tell him?
Yeah, I would say there's one word that I would give to every single player. It would be intentionality, right? You've got to be intentional if your goal is to be a Division I basketball player, you've got to be intentional with your work ethic, right? You've got to make sure that you're allocating the right amount of time every single day to doing the right things that are going to help your game improve. You've got to be intentional with actually watching the game and studying the game. There's a lot of social media, TikTok, YouTube, all these different things. And it kind of takes, young players away from actually watching and studying. You got to watch the game. You got to watch the game that you want to play. You can't get better without watching film. I mean, you got to be intentional with the weight room, right? Don't have to get big and swole and strong, but you got to be strong, right? You've got to be intentional with the time that you spend in there. And then I would make sure, I would tell any player, obviously understanding and reading the game is decision-making is something that is vastly underrated. A lot of young players like to work out with guys one-on-one and just work on, them dribbling the ball, over and over and over again and making individual moves and scoring individually. And that's great. And you definitely have to work on that stuff. I'm an advocate for you improving your game and your bag, right? But you have to have the healthy mix of understanding how to read the game. How to read the help side defender, how to read the pick and roll and the different ways that, teams are going to defend it, making sure you understand when to come off the ball, how to play without the ball in your hands, how to come off pin downs, how to come off handoffs, how to, set a wide pin down to come off a single screen and catch and shoot. Like that stuff is really important. So, intentionality is the word that I would use, and making sure that you are not just working, 1 day a week or 2 days a week or on things that don't really translate to the game, but more so, you are getting better every day, and you are intentionally working on things that are going to directly translate to the game while mixing in a healthy amount of watching film and being inside that weight room.
Coach, last question for you. What would you say to an aspiring coach who wants to be in your shoes, maybe assistant at Division I level, maybe wants to be a head coach at D1 level? What would you tell him as he's trying to grow and get into that next level?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is there's no right path. I mean, my journey has been, all over the place. It's a really unorthodox journey, but there's no right path, and there's no, if you do this, this will happen, right? But if you treat people really well, if you have great integrity and character, if you are pouring into yourself, investing in yourself, to become a better coach and put yourselves in situations to learn and grow and be around other like-minded people, doors are going to open for you. You've got to be willing to get out of your comfort zone to network. You've got to be willing to get out of your comfort zone to go learn and grow and spend intentional time with individuals that may know more about the game than you. You may be an all-time winning high school coach. You may be an all-time winning, whatever level you're at, but you can always learn and you can always grow and you can always develop. The moment you stop learning about the game and you stop investing in you getting better, that's when you're going to kind of hit that roadblock. And I would tell you it'll be impossible for you to continue to move on, right? So if you put yourself in situations to be around other like-minded individuals that may or may not know more than you, I think that your opportunity to become a Division I coach becomes more and more likely. But don't get discouraged if it doesn't happen right away. Don't get discouraged if you feel like guys aren't answering your calls or people are ignoring your emails. It just takes one person. It just takes one opportunity. It just takes one situation, to change your life forever, right? So, continue to pour into yourself, and it's all about luck, skill, and numbers. That's what I tell people, right? You've got to have the skill, right, to get the opportunity. You've got to give yourself enough opportunities to get lucky, right? So if you harness your skills every day and you're constantly becoming a better coach and you put yourselves in situations to get opportunities, well, now because you're good at what you do and you're pouring in and you're putting yourself in all these situations, now you have an opportunity to get lucky, because it does take a little bit of luck, right? We all have to get a little lucky to get where we want to get to. Without that skill and without giving yourself opportunity, you can never get lucky.
Coach, I appreciate your time. This has been such a great interview. Appreciate you, Coach. Thank you for your insights, and we really wish you the best of luck.